Hey, this is Gordon for Inspiration Test, and in this video we're gonna create the sci-fi gun you can see here in 3ds Max's Substance Painter. And since I spent a lot of hours, more than 10 hours creating the sci-fi gun, it is literally impossible to explain it to you in detail on YouTube because it's just too long. So one of the best solutions I found to help you learn the process in detail and all the steps included is to help me on Patreon to afford creating these courses because they take a lot of time and a lot of energy, and this is going to be something that I will actually put a lot of effort to. So I'm going to be able to create I'm going to be able to create one course, one full course in detail every month if you help me reach this goal, one of these goals, which is this one here. And I appreciate your support, and I will see you in the video. Alright, so here we are in 3ds Max, and this is a reference image that I am gonna give you a link to in the description below. And as you can see here, I'm trying to follow the reference image there is nothing else. I can actually draw my my modeling that I'm creating here, the modeling or the mesh I'm creating here. There's only one thing I am kind of using in order to create, so it's gonna be a little bit it's actually gonna demand a little bit of your imagination here, and you need to put it into work because actually experience plays a good role here, because it's gonna help you to actually see where it's gonna actually help you to overcome the limits of the reference image you have here. So this is gonna be a little bit interesting because there are some things that we're gonna work on here, and they are pretty important. And there are actually about 9 steps we're gonna walk here, 9 steps we're gonna take in order to get the final result. But unfortunately, as I said before, it took me a lot of time to create this, so I skipped a couple or 3 steps here because it's very difficult to cover everything, even in time lapse. It's crazy the number of hours I spent to create this. And of course, there are these steps actually in a nutshell. They are actually modeling, which includes modeling itself, adding supporting edges, then actually converting the high. Then after adding supporting edges, we're gonna end up with high poly version. We're gonna convert this high poly version to a low poly version, and of course on top of the high poly version we're gonna have to add floating geometry. Then we're gonna convert to the low poly version. Then we're gonna add smoothing groups and organize our low poly and make it smooth using smoothing groups. Then of course we're going to actually unwrap the model. Then we're gonna name everything and kind of create layers and stuff. Then we're gonna bake the model in Substance Painter. Then we're gonna texture it. Then we're gonna take it to Marmoset Designer, and we're gonna try to actually create cool renders. These are about 9 steps. We're gonna try to walk through here quickly, but for more details, please let me know if you want me to create a course about this. And I think it's gonna be a very unique experience for you because I'm gonna cover everything in detail. And of course it's gonna be a good thing for me because I want to try to actually give more details about the process I take, and in order to, or the ways or the methods I work with in order to create what you can see here, and the things that I do in order to achieve the results I get. And let me know, as I said before, in the comment section below, and I appreciate it if you actually leave a comment, because this is gonna let me know what you think, what is on your mind. And yeah, feedback is extremely important for me, and it's gonna help me connect with you better. And actually today I wanted to actually talk about a topic that is very important for artists, which is in fact how to manage your time as an artist and how to find time to do whatever you want to do, and how to actually stop losing tremendous amount of time and without being productive, without achieving anything. This is something I struggle with. I'm not gonna lie to you. I still struggle with it because time wasters are all around us, and I kind of think that at a certain point, in a certain extent, this world is actually trying to do its best to actually kind of capture our attention, distract us, and it kind of feels like the goal of everything around us is to prevent us from doing what we need to do. And there are plenty of these things. There is no shortage whatsoever in the things that are gonna destroy our productivity and ruin our ruin our day and prevent us from achieving whatever the hell we want to achieve. So basically, everyone around you is a hunter gunning for your attention. This is very true because everyone wants your attention. I for example want your attention, but it's gonna be for your good because I am giving you value here. This is something that is gonna help you to move forward, and other things that are gonna be distraction for you. If you are not interested in this subject, then this is a distraction. If you are interested, then this is gonna be value for you, and this is gonna be something that is gonna help you to move forward. So I'm gonna give you here today few tips in order to help you actually be more productive and achieve more results. So I would say there are a bunch of tips that are known to everyone, but it's hard to put them to practice because it's difficult to discipline oneself to do these things. But anyways, the first thing I want to actually emphasize is the fact that you need to schedule everything before you start doing your work, because if you don't plan, if you don't put a plan kind of to what you are gonna do, you're gonna go with the flow, and you're gonna do whatever you're gonna feel like you're gonna do, and you're not gonna be disciplined because you don't have anything on your plate, and you don't have kind of an organized list that is gonna guide you and is gonna do the thinking for you. Because if you don't kind of create a structure or a road that you're gonna walk on, then it's gonna be difficult to constantly keep thinking about it, what you're gonna do next. It's gonna be very difficult, and it's gonna be mentally tiring. It's gonna be frustrating at times. So actually creating a schedule, for example, if I have for example, let's just say I have work to do, and in my free time, for example, 6 p.m. or after that, I have to do, for example, I have to create, for example, a game prop, and then I have to let's just say organize or search for reference images for another project, or I need to for example finish a freelance work, or whatever it is. You need to kind of set the steps, create and write them down. Write down the steps you need to take in the time you're gonna work in, and it's gonna be very important because your mind like this is gonna know exactly what you're gonna do, and you're gonna avoid spending energy and time on things that you didn't decide what they're gonna be. So when you decide what are the things you're gonna do, you're gonna avoid this this kind of mental noise, and you're gonna be clear. And there's nothing that is gonna give you kind of there's nothing that is gonna give you energy and willpower like clarity and knowing exactly what you're gonna do. And there's nothing that is gonna rob you of your energy and enthusiasm like not knowing what you're gonna do. This is very frustrating, not knowing what you're gonna do. most people I would say fail in life, and they don't achieve anything because they don't know what the hell that they're gonna achieve. They are not clear on the things that they want to do. It's kind of, it's just for them, it's just kind of doing what they feel like doing. They don't discipline themselves, and they don't create a schedule that they're gonna follow in order to achieve the things that they want to achieve. And this mental noise is going to prevent you from achieving a lot of things, and it's going to distract you from achieving your work, achieving your kind of your final results, and work is going to prevent you from working on your project, and seeing any kind of progress in a relatively realistic or reasonable period of time. So actually scheduling is gonna actually gain you or give you clarity, and is gonna prevent you from wasting time, and is gonna boost your emotional state, which is gonna help you actually focus even more. So this is about creating a schedule and being clear on what you need to do. And as you check one of the steps, or uh, one of the elements in your to-do list, in your daily to-do list, is gonna boost your it's gonna give you a boost, and sort of enthusiasm that is gonna push you forward, because you know you are making progress. And the second thing I believe is gonna give you more more give you a boost in time management, and is gonna help you to actually create more stuff, and is gonna help you to be more productive, is to identify your personal time wasters. You need to know exactly what are the things that are wasting your time and preventing you from getting the results you want. There are certain things that are your biggest time wasters. Actually, if you're gonna do something, and you're gonna for example, if you're gonna work on some project, or you're gonna create something like this, let's just say this sci-fi gun here, then the first thing you will do is, of course, to search for reference images. And this is gonna be it's gonna be a process in which you're gonna search for reference images. Then you're gonna go online, and you're gonna search, for example, in certain types of websites that are gonna actually provide you with the reference images that are gonna help you in order to see what are the results that you are gonna get ahead of time, and they're gonna help you, and you're gonna do the what they are gonna help you to actually fill the gaps, and they're gonna help you to avoid that mental work of imagining everything. So when you combine some of these reference images, and look for kind of a guide that you're gonna walk through in order to model the thing that you want to model. So doing this, you of course you're gonna search, and it is very likely that you're gonna stumble upon the things that are gonna distract you the most. For example, when doing the search, you're gonna open your online browser and internet browser, and for example, you're gonna find yourself watching some stupid videos on YouTube, or you're gonna go online searching for these reference images and stuff. Then someone is gonna actually catch you on Facebook, and then you're gonna try to talk to them about something, even though it's gonna be important to a certain extent, but it's going to be a distraction, and it's going to be a time waster if we look at it from a perspective that the work that you want to do and what you intended to do in the first place is the first priority, and it's the one that you want to do the most, and its priority is the higher, even though you are going to be doing something that is that seems like it is important, but to be honest, achieving what you have on your plate is the most important, and there's nothing that can actually replace it, and there's nothing you can do but complete the task you have at hand. So time wasters can take many shapes and many forms. You need to identify those for yourself, and you need to actually eliminate them, and do whatever it takes, because you can't actually afford to lose your focus um, halfway through working on your projects. It's gonna be super annoying, and it's gonna be difficult for you, because when you steer your focus away from the work you need to do, it's gonna be a little bit difficult to go back at it. Scientists say that it's gonna probably take you about 15 to 20, maybe half an hour to get back to the task you have. And it's gonna be why? Because it's gonna be very hard to reach that state of focus you were in before you jump out of that state and go do something distracting and something that is a time waster. So it is extremely important to identify these time wasters and to avoid them at any cost, because they're gonna actually waste a lot of your time, and they are actually something they are something that is repetitive, and I believe that it is something very easy for you to do, and which is spotting them. Of course, it's very easy to spot these time wasters, because they are something that you personally know the best, and there isn't anyone who can actually tell you what are your time wasters and your time thieves better than yourself. So you are the one who knows this stuff the best, and it's gonna be a little bit hard, because it needs a lot of discipline. You're gonna have to muster a lot of discipline and willpower in order to do this, and yeah, just be careful and watch out for these time wasters. The other tip I want to give you about good time management and productivity is multitasking. Multitasking is actually not a good thing, and it was basically believed that multitasking is something great for productivity, and it is something that is gonna actually help you to achieve more, when in fact less is more. So doing only one thing is actually going to help you to achieve more than doing a lot of things in the same time, because believe it or not, the mind cannot do two things in the same time. For example, um, I'm going to give you an example here. For example, just think about, let's just say, I don't know, maybe think about think about what you're gonna do tomorrow, and think about how you're gonna, for example, create or plan for one of your projects in the same time. For example, think about how to create a project, and think about what you're gonna do tomorrow in the same time. What you're gonna discover is that you can't, because the mind cannot focus on two things in the same time. So, and there is one element that is gonna make this worse, which is the fact that switching between tasks. For example, if I try to do two things in the same time, for example, planning, working on my project and thinking about another project. So if I do these two things simultaneously, it's not that I'm not gonna be able to focus on one of these perfectly, but the time I spend in transition between these two is gonna be a time that is spent doing nothing. And the fact is that this transition time is not gonna eat up time alone, but it's gonna cost me mental focus, and it's gonna cost me kind of productive time that I should spend working on one project. So, and of course, what I told you when I told you before about the fact that when you do this mental shift and mental transition between projects, you're gonna find it difficult to go back and find to go back to the same level of focus you were in when you left that state of focus. And this is something you need to avoid at all costs, because it is something that is gonna eat up a lot of your time and focus and rob you a lot of energy. And of course, when you to be honest, achievement is also one of the elements that are gonna keep you moving forward. So if you work on a lot of things in the same time, multitasking and doing so many things simultaneously in the same time, you're not gonna actually have that sense of achievement, and you're not gonna be able to see results. For example, in that same day, if you work on so many things in the same time, it is very unlikely that you're going to achieve any of these things that you're going to work on. And actually, a sense of achievement, a sense of having results and seeing progress is vital for kind of that fuel that is going to help you to keep moving forward. It's all things, all arrows are pointing to the same direction, which is that multitasking is not going to serve your best interest, because it is so it is so it is so unlikely that it is going to help you to achieve more and be more productive. And another, I want to tell you more about multitasking, which is the fact that you want to keep your desk and your computer, for example, the tabs that you are opening in the folders, you want to close everything that is not related to what you are doing. You want to actually shut down everything that is not related to the task you have at hand, because this is going to prevent you from actually even looking, and sometimes you are unconsciously kind of drawn to what is in front of us. So if you shut it down, if you close it, there is very small kind of there is the likelihood of you going to do this thing is gonna drop tremendously. And this is a very good thing to do, because this is gonna help you also to focus even and it's gonna reduce the amount of mental effort you're gonna do in order to focus. And I want to tell you a story about someone who actually who is a manager. Actually, I don't know what kind of manager he is, but he was a person who has a lot of things to do, and he has a lot of things in his desk. So if it's kind of a mess, he tries to do a lot of things in the same time, and he cannot finish anything because he's multitasking, and he is completely gonna drive himself insane because of this. So he asked a doctor, kind of in psychology, how to find an answer for his problem, which is actually very simple, but to a person who has that kind of mental attitude, it's very unclear. So he asked him how kind of how can he work on so many problems and in the same time. And he told him that he does not work on so many problems in the same time, and he told him that he works only on one problem at a time. And then he asked him, how do you actually deal with unfinished work? And he told him that I don't leave my work unfinished because I focus on one thing and I don't stop working on it until I complete it and I leave it finished. So and he told him about his desk and his computer and all the files and all the folders that are opened and in his computer and stuff. And he told him that he is going to actually close everything and focus only on the things that he wants to achieve for that very moment. So this is gonna be the thing that is gonna solve his problem. So this guy actually took the advice that this man gave him, and he found it not just a little bit easier to work and to be productive, but it changed everything about his work, and he found that this is actually something that is very beneficial for him, not for his work only, but for his mental state and mental health, because doing so many things at the same time and spending so much time and effort trying to do things without seeing any results is gonna be actually very difficult for you, not actually not alone for your work, but for your health as well, because your health can suffer, and especially mentally, if you try to drive yourself insane with so much work without seeing a lot of results. Another thing I want to talk about is actually the fact that you need to have all your reference images that you're gonna need ready before you start working on your project, because you can't afford actually to get interrupted in the middle of your work. So actually this actually brings us back to the subject of interruption and time wasters, and this is one of these. So avoid getting out of your focus zone. You need to keep yourself focused. You don't need you actually, let's just say you're gonna work on something. Before you start actually doing the work, you need to know exactly what are the things that you are gonna need ahead of time. You need to actually prepare everything. If you need reference images, then you are gonna find these reference images. You're gonna actually organize them. You're going to put them on one folder or several folders depending on how complex your project is, and then make sure that everything is being prepared and everything is in front of you and everything is ready before you start working on the thing you want to work on. All right, the next step or the next tip I want to talk about is try to be in the state that we call flow. And this state is actually something amazing to experience, especially if you are experiencing it often. And probably you know about it, but the what it is it is that being in that state where everything works perfectly and you're gonna feel like time is flying by as you work on your project. It's like it's an amazing feeling where you are kind of start becoming kind of a productive machine, and time kind of flies by and you enjoy every minute of your work, and it doesn't feel like work though. It's kind of, that's why they call it flow, because it's like being in that state where everything is working perfectly, and it's not that it's it's not that challenging. It's not that easy. It's kind of something in between. It's kind of a state where everything is harmonious, and it's like being a state of harmony between your mind and your body and the work you're doing. And trying to be in that state as much as possible is going to help you to be more productive and waste less time. And of course, the goal here is to allow yourself to become or to enter that state as frequently as possible, because as I said before, it is a state where you're gonna spend hours. Literally, I sometimes spend 3, 4 to 5 doing the same thing, focusing on it, being absorbed in it, and it feels like I've been there for 40 or 50 minutes when in fact it was like 3, 4 to 5 hours. It's amazing what you can do when you enter the state of flow. And actually, there have been books written about it. One of the most or the famous one of the most famous books is the book titled Flow by the author Csikszentmihalyi. And in that book, he actually writes about some cool stories and the concept itself, where he explains that in order to enter this state of flow, you need to actually do something that is not highly challenging and it's not easy, because we don't want it to be boring, and it's not gonna challenge you enough. So you need to find something you're gonna work. And I noticed that I enter this state when I'm working on something. For example, like it's difficult enough to encourage me to keep going. So this is the part where it is exciting, and it's not easy enough to let me get bored and quit. You're gonna and I kind of I think that in order to enter the state of flow, frequently avoid stuff that make you feel bored. I think the more challenging your work is, the more your chances are in order to for you to enter this state of flow. And of course, you don't want your projects to be super challenging, because it's gonna make you frustrated rather than allowing you to enter this supreme state we call flow. And it's gonna be extraordinary if you find a way to enter this state like 5 to 6 hours every day. You're gonna be an extremely talented artist if you can do this. If you manage to actually enter this state several hours a day, every single day, it's gonna be incredibly beneficial for you in the long run. And the problem is setting the environment in order to allow you to do this. And one of the most important conditions is actually to block out uh, big chunks of time. And it's like flow. It's like being in the highway. It's you don't wanna. It's like being the difference between driving in the highway and driving in the neighborhoods. It's you don't want to be distracted. You want the way to be kind of paved. You need a paved road. You don't want distractions. You don't want anyone blocking you, anyone stopping you, anyone kind of distracting you and kind of steering your attention towards something else. These are one of the most important conditions for you in order to enter the state we call flow. And I wish I can enter it more often, because it's just incredible. You can do some amazing things, and you're gonna achieve cool results with relatively acceptable periods of time. And the most amazing thing about it, even though it feels, even when you spend a long period of time, and sometimes you feel tired after you realize that you spend these numbers of hours doing that thing, even though you're gonna feel sometimes tired, but the results are gonna be amazing after you actually step away from your work. And for example, you walk away, for example, you go out for a couple of minutes, or you do something else, or you watch something else, or you kind of just distance yourself from your work, and you kind of go back to it a few minutes later. It feels like you're not the one who did the work, because it feels like you were somehow unconscious. It's like your mind and your body kind of fuse together, and this is why they call it flow. It is something I cannot describe it as much as I would like to, but it's something phenomenal for me. It's something I'm still amazed when I experience it. It's a perfect fusion between your body and your mind, and the thing you're doing, of course. Another way, actually, to be more productive as an artist is to use reminders and countdowns. And yeah, why this is important? It is important because sometimes you need to restrict yourself. You need to give yourself kind of deadlines. Working under deadlines is something that is going to help you to be more productive. So you're going to tell yourself that if I don't do this in the next 3 hours, then it's not gonna be done forever. And this is gonna motivate you to keep working on it, and it's gonna allow you to actually summon the resources in order to make it done within that limited period of time. And also, sometimes we kind of tend to forget what we are doing, and sometimes we kind of find sometimes ourselves doing something that is not our main purpose. And the thing here is just to set some reminders in order to steer yourself back to the track after you sometimes get lost. Also, there is another thing you can do in order to be more productive, which is um, sometimes throughout the day we have some things that are not art related in order to do, and to do them while you are doing your work, it's gonna be it's gonna be difficult to keep your focus. And the thing is, you need to kind of collect them all, actually batch them together and do them in the same time. So you're gonna get rid of them in the same time. This is this is gonna help you to um, actually is gonna help you to keep focused or keep yourself less distracted. And you're gonna be distracted anyways, and being less distracted is a lot better than being distracted constantly. And what this is gonna help you with is the fact that it's gonna help you to keep the things that are not going to improve or get you the results for that day out of the way for one time and for a short period of time. This is better than being interrupted constantly, because this is gonna actually as we talked before about the fact that being interrupted constantly is not going to waste your time in that period of time alone, but it's gonna cost you the time that is necessary to get back to the mental state and the mental or the focus you were in before you left that mental state. And to get back to that state of focus, you need extra time. And being interrupted constantly is gonna cost you a lot of that time. So you better do your tasks that are not art related together. You need to put them in one basket and then get rid of it, then get back to work. Talking about this subject makes me realize that how important time is, and how important it is actually to use your resources carefully, because every minute we spend not doing actually what makes us move forward is a minute that is not gonna come back. And the return on investment here is gonna be almost nothing. Another tip I want to talk about here is the fact that you need to know your general direction and where you're going. And this is related to your purpose, of course, and what you want to do. And this is something that we are talking about here in general. So this is kind of the overarching goal that you are aiming for. And this is also defining this is going to help you a lot to actually keep your focus and to keep yourself pushing in the right direction. So if you are actually focusing on minor details, for example, let's just say you are focusing too much on your daily tasks, but the overarching goal, which is your purpose, or the end in mind you want to reach, that you want to reach, if this thing is not there, if the final goal is not there, then you're gonna find it a little bit difficult to keep pushing, because everyone who lived and did a great thing actually had a purpose that kept him pushing. And if you are blessed with knowing your purpose in this life, especially if you are an artist who want to be someone talented and he knows exactly what he needs to do, then this is gonna keep you pushing regardless of the distraction and regardless of everything else that is gonna prevent you from getting what you want. As one, here's a quote I want to tell you here about, and this quote is extremely interesting. As the writer of this quote said, if you don't know where you are going, you will end up someplace else. And this quote is very simple, but it's very profound because I found it so true. So if you don't know where are you going, if you don't know your kind of your way and your direction, then obviously you're gonna get somewhere that you didn't decide that you're gonna go to. As simple as that. You need to know where you're going. Some there are some people who are actually doing pretty well, and but they don't really know where they are going, so their development and their progress is going to be limited by this factor. And I would say most people are a victim to this phenomenon, which is not knowing where to go. And this, of course, depends on you sitting alone and contemplate your future and kind of designing this vision for your life. And I would say that most artists, at least successful artists, kind of thought about this because artists tend to be introverts and they think too much about what they're gonna do and stuff. So I would say that most successful artists thought about the subject and decided, and they are kind of driven and they know what their purpose is. And how do I know this? The fact that they are ambitious and successful actually is a strong indicator that they know themselves, and they know their direction in their career and in life. And of course, sometimes you need to schedule stuff ahead of time. I mean, it's not that you need to schedule your tasks just a day ahead of time, but sometimes I believe you need to schedule stuff a week or 15 days ahead of time, because this is gonna give you a mental state, or gonna give you a frame that you're gonna work from, and this is gonna allow you to actually stay focused. Kind of the it's gonna give you a second layer of focus. Kind of it's gonna give you a subconscious layer of focus. You are If you actually uh, program or schedule things, let's just say a month or something ahead of time, and you already know what's gonna happen a month ahead of time, is gonna help you to focus subconsciously. It's something a lot of people are studying right now, but it seems like it works. Planning is and scheduling is so much powerful that it's gonna make it the difference between someone who is successful and someone who's not. Especially people who write stuff, because planning without writing, I don't think it is planning, because it is just um, it's just a mental activity. But what makes the difference between planning and just thinking is writing stuff down. You need to write them down and put them in a clear way that you're gonna be able to read later. Another thing that is going to help you with your time management and achieving more and more productivity is learning how to say no. So during the period that you're gonna work in, there is gonna be a lot of things. There are gonna be a lot of things that are gonna prevent you from achieving your goals and achieving any kind of progress. So saying no is gonna be very important, because focus is the remedy and the cause of productivity, and achieving anything depends on it. So sometimes when you are trying to achieve something, there are going to be people that are going to offer you to do things. Sometimes this is going to be in the form of paid stuff. For example, you are going to get a lot of opportunities, and you're going to get offers. In the beginning, of course, you're not going to get offered anything, and it's going to be difficult to do or to get work in any we're not talking about this, and this applies to a lot of areas in life, and in CG and 3D it's gonna be the same. So at first you're gonna struggle and you're gonna do anything that you're gonna find. After that, people are gonna come to you and ask you to do things for them. They're gonna throw projects at you, and sometimes you're gonna have to say no, because there are good things and there are better things. So you're gonna choose the great things over the good things. So you're gonna have to make a choice, and you're gonna reach a point where your problem is not gonna be finding work, but choosing which work you're gonna do. Of course, this applies to when you are a student and when you are learning. So sometimes you're gonna face situations where you're gonna make choices, and you're gonna have to say no in order to grow and to learn more. And sometimes, for example, let's just say you're learning about a certain aspect of 3D that you want to improve in, and you're gonna face with an opportunity to actually to learn something more exciting, even though it's not gonna be beneficial for you and for your progress at that thing, at the thing you want to learn, of course, and become more efficient at, or you want to become better at it. So choosing to keep yourself focused and preventing yourself from being drowned in something else is going to be a little bit difficult, but when you say no to it and when you keep yourself focused, you're going to achieve a lot more, because anything worthwhile is something that is done once at a time. So you want all the things that are worthwhile are things that you need to do kind of one by one at a time. And even though things are not going to be dropped for good, you need to delay them. So as I said before, you just need to actually organize yourself. You don't have to actually kind of drop the thing that you're not gonna do now forever. You're just gonna schedule it for another time. Sometimes when you are facing this situation, for example, when you are working on something important and something that looks even more important comes your way, you're gonna just grab a piece of paper or in your phone, open a memo and then write it down. And or if you are on your computer, just open a I don't know, maybe there are a lot of extensions. You're gonna have to uh, kind of schedule that for another time, and this is gonna help you to stay focused on what you're doing without forgetting the thing that you wanted to do or the thing that you think is even more important. So, and this is gonna drive us to the next point, which is kind of setting time for organization and preparation. Actually, organization is important because it's going to help you to actually keep out or actually separate between the things that you need to do and the things that you didn't do yet, and the things that are already done. So and it's going to help you to see things clearly as well. So you need to practice organizing your files and your documents and your folders and your work and a lot of other things that don't that don't come to mind right now. But you need to do this because it's highly important, and it's gonna give you the clarity and the mental frame that allows you to work in a way that makes you, or that is going to help you to make progress, at least in an easier way. As Benjamin Franklin said, for every minute spent organizing, an hour is earned. So this is actually, I find this to be true because time that is spending in organizing is gonna help you to gain more time, because usually when you don't know what you are doing and you're not organized, you're gonna spend a lot of extra time just to figure out what you're gonna do, and you're gonna spend extra time to find stuff and to kind of um, actually to kind of half-ass organization as you work. This is where your time is gonna be lost. So you better organize stuff ahead of time and be clear on what you do, rather than trying to actually work and half organize or half ass organize your work as you work. It's not gonna be a good thing. It's gonna be ugly, and it's not gonna cost you time, but it's gonna be frustrating sometimes. And this is also extremely important if you are self-employed. If you don't work for a company or for a studio, if you are freelancer or something like that, there is um, there is a lot of important there is a lot of importance and kind of emphasis you need to put on this point, because it's gonna be vital for your work, and you need to regard this point very highly because it's gonna make you or break you. If you are a one man shop, then you're gonna do everything, and you're gonna do actually the things that you don't want to do usually, and keeping things out of hand, and trying to do only the things that you enjoy, and neglecting the things that you don't really want to do. is gonna actually is gonna lead to massive massive places of kind of places that you neglect, and these places that you neglect are gonna over time make your work a lot harder and finding your stuff very difficult. And of course sometimes it's gonna cost you money, because this time is necessary to deal with clients and get them what they want in time. So if you don't do this correctly in a good and acceptable manner and in the frame of time you have, then you're gonna pay. Another thing that you need to do is actually to improve your time management skills and time management strategies. So sometimes things don't work from the first time, and sometimes the things that usually work appear to lose their effectiveness over time, or you change yourself, or you change your methods, and this will result in a different approach that you're going to take, and this requires a new strategies and new tools and new kind of new principles that you're going to adopt in order to get your work done. And another thing I want to talk about, um, uh, which is to keep pushing, and 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 the fact that you don't want to stop regardless of what you feel. So pushing yourself against your feeling and your what your mind and heart are telling you in the moment is something crucial if you want to be successful and if you want to be efficient. So you don't want to work only when you feel like it. Because I would say that whatever you do, a great percentage of your time, or there are a lot of times that in which in these times you're not gonna feel like doing work, because most of the time, even art, even what we do here, even art, sometimes is gonna feel like work, and you're gonna force yourself to do the work. You need to do whatever it takes. So pushing is something that is gonna be part of the game, and it's it's something that it is something that if someone can actually learn how to do, is gonna help actually a lot, because this ability to do work regardless of what you feel, whether you feel like working or not, is going to make the difference between a successful and a less successful artist. And this is gonna be something that is gonna make a lot of difference if you are working for yourself. And if you are working for a studio or for a company, you're not gonna be suffering from this issue a lot, because there are some people who are always kind of in charge of this situation, and they are gonna tell you what to do, and they're gonna make sure that you're gonna do the work. But if you are independent, if you are a freelancer, or if you are someone who is actually basically working for himself, this is gonna be something that is extremely important. So I hope, guys, that these tutorial actually these tips were useful, and I hope that you found them interesting to a certain extent, because I'm a little bit tired right now, and I should keep pushing, but I actually ran out of things to say. That's why I'm gonna probably stop talking for now, and I'm gonna let you enjoy the rest of the video, because there are a lot of good things that are coming. And yeah, please subscribe to my channel if you are new, and like this video, because this really helps. And yeah, enjoy the rest of the video.